Recently at the Xbox showcase for summer 2022 here, they showed off Overwatch 2, and we got a new hero, which is pretty cool. Now, I am a gigantic Overwatch fan. I really enjoyed that game, but it's been a while since it came out, right? Didn't it come out in like 2016 or something like that? It came out quite a while ago. And when it came out, I was hyped for it. I was really into the cinematics they were showing. I liked the gameplay. We had played the beta that they had. I was like, yeah, this is great. Bought it day one. I played hundreds of hours of Overwatch. I just really, really enjoyed the gameplay flow of it, like the whole loop. I like that. I like collecting the skins and everything. And the original Overwatch had microtransactions, right? It let you buy cosmetic skins, and it lets you buy loot boxes to get more cosmetic skins. Of course, you unlocked like dialogue and victory poses and stuff like that, but everything was cosmetic. So when I played the game, I was okay with it. And I think at most, believe it or not, I actually ended up spending I think maybe like $20 on loot boxes, because I think during the first year I was so into it, I was trying to get the Halloween skins. So I was buying boxes at that time, but I never put a lot of money into it. I bought $20 worth, and I thought that was okay because at the time they released Overwatch, I think you could get it for $30 or $40. It was actually discounted. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make up the remaining, amount that would equal 60, spend 20 or whatever. It didn't bother me that much now. So fast forward to now, they announce Overwatch 2, and the game looks cool, but I can't help but feel like with everything that's been going on with Blizzard, the way that they've released Diablo Immortal and how they're going microtransaction crazy, a lot of the other things that have been going on in the background with Blizzard, I can't help but feel like Overwatch 2, like having a sequel to the original Overwatch, is a huge mistake. Now, reason number one has nothing to do with the company itself or Diablo Immortal or microtransactions or anything like that. For me personally, it just doesn't really make much sense to make a sequel to a game that is virtually the same as the sequel. Now, I know that recently, within the last couple months, they had a beta that I did not participate in, but I believe certain influencers and other people played it. And I watched some of the videos, of them playing and some of their thoughts on it. I couldn't help but feel like most everybody was pretty much agreeing, saying that this is the same game, except now it's a 5-on-5 instead of 6-on-6 game. And there were certain things about it that changed, I guess as far as like the healing works and how the tanks work, and some of the characters got major overhauls and stuff, but that's nothing that hasn't already been done in Overwatch in the past. Overwatch was always about that. Overwatch every week had new updates and character changes and stuff happening, new maps, and it was a ever evolving thing, right? So when they announced that a 2 was coming out, I was super confused because a lot of the changes that they were making were basically like one new mode, and they were adding a single player like story mode to it, which I was like, that's weird. Why wouldn't we just add those as attachments to the original game? I don't know. Make it an expansion to the first game. They supported Overwatch, the original game, so much after the fact, so much after it was released, that I couldn't help but sit there and think you put this much time into it and gave all of these free maps and character updates to the players for 5-6 years, however long it's been. Why don't you just make an expansion? It already has a player base, right? And, when it comes right down to it, obviously it always comes down to hype, right? If you sell a 2, like an Overwatch 2, more people get excited about it, and people who didn't like the first game will even be like, okay, I'll give 2 a shot. We'll see what happens with it, right? If you do an expansion for the first game this late in the game, so to speak, that is where there's going to be issues, right? Because people who didn't originally like Overwatch, may have bought it, aren't going to come back for an expansion, right? But they might come back and try the sequel just to see if it's any good. People who have played a lot of Overwatch like myself may not return to the game to see what the expansion is all about if we feel like we put enough time into it. I put hundreds of hours into the game, and at some point I just said I'm good. I think I'm done. I've played enough of this game, right? Even if they're adding a single player component to it, I don't know if it's enough of a draw to bring you back. But I do think that coming out with Overwatch 2 as a sequel it's a problem. And I think it's a mistake because a lot of players are going to come to this game, and it's going to sully Blizzard's name even more than it already is, because a lot of people are just going to say it's the same game with a few single player levels, right? And one new mode. I don't think that is enough of a selling point for a game. Now, what they're doing right with Overwatch 2 is making it free to play. Now, that is the whole thing, right? They're making it free to play. The beta is out in October, and that is actually really cool. But at the same time, I keep thinking, why do we need an Overwatch 2? Why don't we just have the original Overwatch go free to play, and then you can add these options to the game, like the single player and stuff, and add those as expansions? I don't know. I don't really understand why the whole game is being reworked to be, 5 versus 5 instead of 6 versus 6. I don't really get that. I don't really understand the premise or the design decision behind a lot of the things happening for the sequel. And to me, it almost feels like it's changing the game for the sake of changing it so that way people feel like it's different. But overall, if you watch these 5 versus 5 matches, these 5v5 matches that are on YouTube from other influencers and whatnot who have played the beta, it's typically the same game. You're not really going to see too much different there. And I got to be quite honest, I feel like the design of the first game it was enough. It was enough to keep the game feeling relevant this many years later. If they wanted to change up a few of the UI components and that kind of thing, that'd be fine. But is there really anything they're going to do in Overwatch 2 that you're going to see that you're just going to be like, wow, this warrants a sequel? No. I at this moment, I'm kind of sitting here like, I don't think so. So it even says here in the Shack News article that I'm reading that Blizzard is ready to take Overwatch 2 to a new level, announcing that the PvP component will operate in a free-to-play model with regular updates that include new heroes, balance changes, maps, modes, and more. So basically what they were doing before, but in an Overwatch 2. Why? I don't understand. Why make another client? Overwatch 2 will feature a 5 vs 5 format, along with crossplay and cross-progression across all platforms, with the latter likely operating across a single Battle.net login. So, again, I don't know, man. The biggest mistake they could make going forward here is, and I don't know if this has been confirmed or not confirmed, is making it so people can't play with the skins that they unlocked in the first game and the second game. And if that is something that they're going to unlock for people, like make it so that way they can actually play with the skins that they bought in the first game and the second one, it still doesn't make any sense to me as to why they're making a sequel. Like, another big problem too is you're splitting the player base. We didn't really talk about that either. But like, if you have players who staunchly love the first Overwatch, and there's still quite a few people who play that game, but they staunchly love that game, a lot of them are going to try Overwatch 2, but they're probably going to return right back to the first Overwatch because they're going to say like the original 6v6 is better than the 5v5, right? Man, I don't know. I feel like there are so many there are so many bad things if you had a category, the good and the bad category, there's so many things in the bad for me that just, to me, doesn't seem like a good decision, right? To make this an actual full sequel, right? A different release from the first game. But there have been other companies who have done it too. You have Bungie, who created Destiny, and eventually they created Destiny 2, even though they originally said that Destiny would just be Destiny always. And then a few years later, they're like, yeah, we're going to do Destiny 2, because they had a lot of reasons about Destiny, like the maps being too big to edit and work on, and they needed to change the functionality of that. And yeah, they had a lot of excuses for that kind of thing. And I felt like I was the only person who remembered, like, hey, didn't Bungie say that they were just going to keep reiterating the original Destiny and like just charge you for expansions, and it would just be an ever living game, sort of like World of Warcraft? Like, I remember them talking about that exact thing. And then that changed just a couple years later. So, at some point, they're probably going to have an Overwatch 3, right? And then what are they going to do? It's going to be 4v4, and they're going to add one new mode to that, and maybe like a second story campaign or something. Like, I don't know. I don't know where this ends or where they're going with this. But I'm also afraid because of with the recent Diablo Immortal release, like where they're going with microtransactions and how evil that feels. I feel like with Overwatch 2, that might be sort of the backbone for that too. The reason they're releasing a sequel is because they want to charge players for more than just cosmetic skins and stuff. So, man, there's nothing about this release that really is getting me excited, especially considering it's going free to play. Free to play, it's become a joke over the years. Like, free to play, when it first started, people were like, "Oh, cool, a free to play game. Oh, I can buy to remove ads. Okay, that's cool. In my mobile game." Or like, "Oh, a free to play game. Oh, okay, they're just gonna have me, buy skins or whatever. Okay, that's not a big deal." But with the recent release of Diablo Immortal, I'm very afraid for what they're going to do with this game. Like, are they going to are they going to add boosts for players where like they can buy a boost and then they'll have like, you know, through the next match you get nothing but constant ultimates, so you know, it pretty much will just give you a win, right? I don't know. I don't know what they're planning, but to me, it just doesn't seem good. There you go, everybody. There's my kind of like doom and gloom thoughts about where Overwatch 2 is at and the impending release of it coming the end of this year. But hey, maybe you agree with me. Let me know in the comments. But if you don't, let me know in the comments as well. Like, how do you feel about it? Are you kind of like, no, Overwatch 2 looks like it's going to be great. I played it, and I played the beta, and I think the 5v5 works better. But maybe some of you are like, no, this doesn't look different enough. Let me know what you think, because I might be completely off base here. But I just want to say thanks for watching, guys. And of course, I'll see you all in the next one.